Welcome to the Black Feather Bar. This is In Good Spirits. This is going to be a series where I interview distillers, bartenders, brewers, all people in the cocktail or alcohol serving industry to get information and entertainment out of personalities themselves or anything what have you. Today is episode 1 with my good friend Dylan Foote. Dylan, I want to say hi, I guess.
Hi, everybody. Welcome.
Awesome. So Dylan is a very experienced bartender. I hesitate to say one of the most renowned bartenders in New Hampshire. At least that's where we're at. So Dylan, a little bit of things about you. I know that you had worked at Chuck's Barbershop. You were the was it beverage director there, or was there a position named for that?
So I started off as bar manager, went to general manager, and then I was director of operations for the group of speakeasies as a whole.
Yeah, and they had 4 by the end of it. At the time, I think they had 3, right? And then recently, you were the beverage director for the Artisan Hotel in the Tuscan
Correct.
in Salem, New Hampshire. A couple of incredible things there, obviously. I mean, very well-known, very profitable businesses, that latter one being the biggest in
Of course.
the state. Tell me about your history in bartending, how you got started, and what drove you into it.
So I went from the bottom. I started off just serving, and went down the restaurant track of banquet serving to hosting to every part of the restaurant. And I started my first bartending job was corporate. So Olive Garden. I was 20 years old. Couldn't even legally drink. That was my first bartending job, and I did corporate bartending for 12 years.
Wow.
Yes, it actually teaches you something. There is different, you learn different things from every type of bartending position, every place you work at. I think that's one of the great things about jobs. And corporate teaches you perhaps less on the technical and craft side, but it does teach you to be very focused on hospitality.
Yeah.
And so I don't regret that.
Yeah.
And then I had the opportunity to move into craft and start working at speakeasies, and that's where my passion for spirits really took off.
Well, I've definitely said to people before that I feel, there is different respects that I often give to the different types of bartenders that are out there. There's, the corporate bartenders, the dive bar bartenders, even. I have incredible respect for the certain talents that they bring. The craft bartenders, there's like, craft bartenders, it's like the attention to detail, the very, like the ingenuity that they have to create these very intricate cocktails and be able to serve them. Incredible. The dive bar people, I mean, the amount of skill that goes into making like 50 gin and tonics in such a short amount of time. Like, you have so many people waiting, you're pumping these out, you're not getting a rest. Some of those people, I have incredible respect for the ability that comes to do that. And then, yeah, I mean, like, focusing on the hospitality, I mean, working under a corporate's not an easy thing to do. Absolutely. I find there's, like, some different skills that are very respectable for each of those fields, and it's great for any bartender to have any of those skills.
Oh, of course. I think that I don't believe in useless information, and I have a lot of respect for the different styles of bartending. It's kind of a running industry joke where the different styles of bartenders make fun of each other.
Oh, absolutely.
Craft bartenders will look down on, like high volume bartenders. High volume bartenders will do their jokes with like the pinky out, and I'm not making a drink, I'm crafting an experience. But they all have their own place.
Yeah.
And it's all different ways of getting towards a goal, which is providing a hospitality experience.
Yeah, I've seen like the Thanos joke with like the craft bartenders will go like, "You ruined my life, like ruined my reputation with the name bartender," or whatever, like to a dive bartender, and they'll come back and be like, "I don't even know who you are." Like, it's like, yeah, you're kind of full of yourself. That is the comeback to that. I think that is funny. Absolutely funny. Um, how has your definition of hospitality kind of changed over the years and evolved?
I think I thought it changed more than it did, in the sense that as I moved throughout my career, I got access to all of these tools.
Yeah.
And so as I move forward, especially with Tuscan Brands has a fantastic hospitality forward approach. So you get tools such as Open Table, and you can make notes on people's account so that they don't have to tell you their anniversary, or if you need to rescue an experience, you can make a notation on there. So even if you're not there and they come in 7 months later, a round of cocktails is dropped off at their table without ever there nothing being said about it.
Yeah.
These are all tools, and you think it revolutionizes it, and then eventually you realize that it's all based on the same. It's just a more efficient way of doing it,
Yeah.
and there's like a higher brow approach, which is to take away the effort. That's the idea of
Right.
hospitality. But at the end of the day, it's really about creating experiences. Whether it's running across the street to grab something, to make something for somebody that you don't have for a product in house, to whether it's making sure that somebody's special day, their anniversary, or is just perfect. It's all based upon making them when they leave just well. I had such a great time.
Yeah. Ultimately, I mean, I think that is what everybody in the industry, the hospitality industry, would agree is just the goal is, it's to make people happy. After a long day at work, maybe you need like just a really nice, well-made old-fashioned it's that show
Cheers.
Glass of God, that anime that I've done a little bit of reviews for. Um, they had said there is a thin line between serving medicine or poison when you're a bartender. I think that's probably a little bit of that craft snootiness, whatever to it. It's like you're serving alcohol, but like I get the essence of what he's saying to that. I mean, people struggle daily. They have a lot of stuff going on, and this is their chance to just unwind and have a great time. And the people that can consistently provide that as well as possible, it's an incredible thing to do.
Sure. Looking back at myself and my career, the things that I have done that I think have made the most impact had very little to do with just the quality of like my knowledge or my cocktail making. It
Right.
had much more to do with other things. So,
Yeah.
using people's names, absolutely huge. But like dates.
Yeah.
I've been in this long enough that you've had people that they came in for their first date with you, and then they come in on their anniversaries to see you, and
Yeah.
they like obviously you don't take credit for it, but you knew that we were having a date, and you made sure we had such a good time
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
we
Make
like
sure it's special.
exactly to make it special, or people come in for special occasions, or to celebrate like the life of a loved one, and these are
Yeah.
the things that people really remember. I mean,
Yeah.
you'd be going to a place to know you're going to get great old fashioned, obviously amazing,
Sure.
but really it's the memories and making people feel special that actually make the difference.
Absolutely. I mean, one of the best things about the industry. I love that. Now, to get a little bit into some of the technical knowledge, how would you build a menu that you think kind of serves very well guests, the team, and fits like a diverse profile? Run me through kind of your like menu
Mhm.
building process. Like, how do you conceptualize that?
Every location has a different one. I've been
Yeah.
very fortunate in that I've had a lot of creative freedom. Everything from, at the bar of the speakeasies where I solely built the menus,
Yeah.
in addition with the staff. But I curated the menu, but we did group meetings where everybody would design cocktails. We would share them, and it was very open forum. That was probably my favorite way of doing menus.
It sounds like an awesome time. Great
Fantastic
time.
time. It's difficult to have a group that can and will do it, but it's my favorite way of building a menu. And the other way is to, you have one person that's in control and they design the menu, and you have to look at your demographic. You have to look into the speed of service. So my last position with Tuscan Brands, it's so much resources and support, but our volume was incredibly high. So a large part of it was finding something that was both elevated but also executable.
Right.
And that's the challenging part that takes it from I'm a bartender to I'm more of a beverage professional, when you can not just take an idea but find a way to make an ideal executable
Yeah.
in the seamless format.
Right. Like so like I mean anybody could make something incredible if you have like access to like truffles and saffron and everything like that.
Sure.
It's going to break the bank and you have two options from there, right? You like charge up the ass for that cocktail, in which case nobody's going to buy it,
Sure.
or you just don't do it. Like and both ways obviously like something like that may be potentially desirable, but definitely not a lot of that on a menu,
Well,
right?
menu design is pricing as well. You
Yeah,
have to look into your area as far as what is charged, and then also even the different prices in your menu. It's
yeah,
actually better to have one high cost item on your menu
yeah,
for a number of reasons. It lets you show off what you're capable of doing,
yeah,
but also it makes other things look less expensive. At the end of the
yeah, yeah.
day, we are creatures of habit, and when you look at something and you see a $30 price tag, and then the next one's 20, oh, that one's less expensive.
Right.
Where that's just how human psychology works.
Yeah. I think, like, particularly, I was even maybe slightly talking about something that I did in this house a few months ago. I made a herbal martini with some chartreuse, saffron in it. I mean, it came out very well. I'd like adjust it a little bit, like try it again. But obviously, something like that has expensive ingredients that would be tough to just put on any menu unless it's exactly what you were saying. Like that would be like the high priced item if it's good enough to fit that level. Comes with high expectation, high cost, high price.
Sure.
But yeah, I mean like that's the kind of thing I'm like I don't have to think too much about that at the moment. But it's something I'd like to get into understanding a little more, like working under a budget to still create something special and incredible, but understand that you need it to be
The
sustainable.
least fun part of the job.
It's the least fun part of the job, but I find it kind of interesting. It's a challenge that I feel like I would be like, yeah, like give me that challenge. Let me try it, you know? But that might just be coming from like the Hollywood standpoint of like watching like Chopped, for example. They'd be like, here's marshmallows and durian, make something good. Like, I'm like, yeah, give me that challenge. I'll try it. But it's obviously more complicated than that a little
It
bit.
can be fun. It can also be frustrating.
Yeah.
Going down that line of, you see all these wonderful ingredients, and you look around, and our industry has gone from so much of the highest tier being done at restaurants to now so much of it's being done at people's homes on social media.
Right.
And it's created a warp in the industry where people's expectations of cocktails have changed, and almost into an unmanageable degree,
Yeah. Yeah.
where people don't understand that for an Instagram, I might make 15 or 20 garnishes
Yeah.
and pick the most perfect one. Or I might spend 15 or 20 minutes just on the garnish, the ice,
Yeah.
at exactly the right time, and they're not executable. There's things that I would love to do because they're very fun, but you run into roadblocks for executions.
Right, because I mean, if I'm at the restaurant and I order something, if that drink's not in front of me in like 5 minutes, obviously
Sure,
it's starting to get to that point where I'm like, all right, well, what's going on? But you can't spend 15 minutes on the ice for somebody's drink.
sure, and even more than that, the temperature of that your
Yeah,
cocktail's being served at, but also an example would be like basil oil drops.
yeah,
It's a fantastic way of building a
very
martini.
cool.
But the surface tension will expand as you're walking it from the service bar to the table.
Yeah,
So if the bartender's making
table
it,
service.
if it's being done table side, it's fantastic. Very few places have the low enough volume to allow that.
Yeah,
But if you were to make it as a classic bartender and have a server bring it to their table, those beautiful little drops are going to be discs by the
yeah,
time they come on over.
absolutely. That is incredible though. Like a table service, basil drops. That sounds really cool. Do you think that New England particularly, maybe even New Hampshire as a specific, you can kind of go into both, has a cocktail identity, a specific cocktail identity, and then what do you think it is, if it does?
So New England more so than New Hampshire itself.
Sure.
New Hampshire has a couple of regions that are developing cocktail identities.
Yeah.
I would say Portsmouth and Manchester are
Yeah.
probably the ones that come most to mind as far as actually having their own independent cocktail culture. It's still very new compared to other parts. There's relatively few cocktail bars compared to other locations.
Yeah.
Pricing, population density, they all factor into it, but it is becoming more common. And New England as a whole, absolutely. Vermont definitely has areas where you see a lot of craft Portland's absolutely amazing.
Right.
So there really are, Massachusetts. So if you look at like the Baldwin Bar, Blossom Bar, it's the best beverage program on the East Coast.
Right.
It's so there is stuff in the area. It's just I think it's less mainstream, and you have to kind of, if you know, you know.
Yeah.
I think you ask most residents, Massachusetts and New Hampshire, what the Blossom Bar is, what the Baldwin Bar is, they won't even know,
Mm.
and which is a shame because it's
It's a
such a
shame because of the quality. Yeah, right.
Rand does a nice job.
It's like you should know. Yeah. I mean, stay tuned. Hopefully that I'll check it out and I'll let you guys know how it is over there. I'd like to check out the Baldwin Bar and the Blossom Bar. So, when do you find a trend worth leaning into or worth passing over? Do you think there's an easy way to tell?
I think it's something that's a little bit more complicated
Mm.
because different trends happen across the country at different times
Sure.
and for different demographics. So looking into, if you're looking at like, very young, you're like having a younger crowd, very craft, you can stay right on the pulse.
Yeah.
So if they're doing sushi rice washed Negronis,
Oh, those are awesome.
fantastic. Anything with that starch in there. Where if you're looking for mainstream, it tends to happen about 2 years after that.
Right.
So depending on where your target is, it's knowing which fads to jump on and which ones don't. So as a rule, anything that's flashy, people love. People love fire. People love smoke.
Yeah.
Anything that falls into that visual experience being added to the aspect of drinking, where things that are more cocktail focused side of it stays at craft bars because of the price point and the difficulty of execution. Where if you're doing a really complicated cocktail with a very complicated garnish, you're both going to have a price tag attached to that, and you're going to have a amount of time required to make the drinks, and that doesn't translate well outside of craft bars.
Right. I mean, definitely. I mean, the flashy thing that definitely, obviously, is true. However, I think particularly, I think I've showed you this one bar in Japan. I'm forgetting the name off the top of my head, but I'll put something in here to mention it. But they have this legendary bartender in the area, but he'll pull up like a handle with a cup at the end, one of those things, right? It's on fire. He'll throw the fire across the bar and serve you your drink through the fire, and his bar back will come up and like sweep up the flames here after, which is super interesting. That bar, I believe, only has 4 people working in it. Incredible, something to do. I mean, that's a model that just doesn't work very well here. Like 4 people working an incredibly flashy quality bar, but it's insane. I would love to visit it.
Sure.
Stuff like that is super cool.
Yeah, liability wise, I think it's very difficult to do in the States as a whole. Also, just the cost, the to have such a small area being provided is not really practical, but you can find your ways to cheat it. I did a cocktail which was very fun. It was a pirate themed cocktail.
Yeah,
and
I remember this one. Yeah,
it was very fun, and I actually designed a garnish, which is it's called a Jolly Roger. It was actually a batched rum punch, and I took a Jolly Roger pirate flag and actually wrapped the flag in flash paper, and that would be flash table side, and so it would go from a white flag to a black flag. And that's one of those ones where you can kind of cheat in the middle, where you can do the prep beforehand, so it's not being done at service side.
Right.
And they can get a little bit of that flash, but it happens fast enough that there's really no danger, as long as you are being conscientious of what you're doing and experimenting properly.
Right.
I lost a whole bunch of hair because I was making sure that even that when you set it off, that it could not ignite other things around it. And these are things you have to be very careful of.
Interesting thing here. Let's see. Okay. If you could distill your bar philosophy down to 3 phrases, what do you think those would be? And you can give little explanations for those phrases as well.
Ooh, I would say, to start off, is that hospitality is 1,000 small steps to create one experience.
Mm.
And by what I mean by that is there's small things that you do that seem almost silly, but they end up yielding a higher experience. Having, okay, an example of this is we're creatures of habit.
Yeah.
So having a server go to the table at exactly the same spot
Mhm.
every single time. So people get more comfortable with that. That's where so instead of a server walking around and just showing up, they go to one spot and speak from the table. People they're more comfortable ordering from the server. They're more likely to notice them quickly.
Right, right. The server's always going to show up on this side of the table right here rather than showing up on the opposite side of the table off screen over here. But yeah, I get that.
Sure.
Yeah, it's the
Not
consistency.
auctioning off food, having using table pivot points so that your dinners are dropped in an order and you're not being double checked. We don't need to double check with you where your food is because we did the work beforehand of training the staff of ordering it so that it's just put down right in front of you.
Interesting. Are you saying that maybe I misinterpreted it. Are you saying that like you don't believe in the like what is it, like 2 bites 2 minutes like check-in thing
No, that's a
or
different one. What I
oh,
mean
okay.
by this
Okay.
is as a server brings over food to a table, or a food runner brings it to a table,
Hmm.
there should be no check-in with the guests. They should not have to stop interacting with their family to confirm that that is their
Yeah,
entree.
they shouldn't have to ask who had the salmon. Yeah, okay. I
Exactly.
got you. Okay.
Yep.
Gotcha,
It should be
gotcha.
a seamless execution where you're not being constantly brought away from the time that you have with your family or with your business, whatever you happen to be involved with.
Hmm.
The meal should be accompanying that rather than being a jarring introduction of we're constantly asking you
Right.
input that we don't actually need because we did the steps beforehand.
Right. I think I particularly remember this. I did work for this man at Chuck's barber shop for a short amount of time, but I remember the system in that did have specific seating orders, right? Like, so
Mhm.
you could say, this seat has the salmon, this seat has the chicken, whatever. It's not just ordering for the table, it's you can choose the seats and you can understand that before. Whether or not that was executed very well after you left, which was very early after I started, was a different thing. But I believe the system did allow for that.
Certainly, every restaurant functions on the same idea. Every table has a pattern as they go around the table,
Hmm.
and then you get into smaller components of that, such
Yeah.
as open-handed service. So there's a reason why your dish should be served as if I'm moving this in front of you, like rather than pulling it away from you. It creates a different atmosphere,
Yeah.
and they're very small parts of a whole. And any one of those parts, if you were to remove it, people wouldn't notice.
Yeah.
But as a whole, that's when you leave and you're like, this experience was exceptional.
Right.
And those are those small things that, uh, you know, being spoken to in, certain ways, being asked questions. People remember when, you know, people remember your favorite wine.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
if you've
Something you can put into a note on a customer's
certainly
profile, that would be
certainly people notice when staff has their own uniqueness. There's continuity of training, but they're not using the stereotypical cookie cutter lines of "Have you been here before?"
right.
etc., etc., etc. You need to have a training cycle where it allows some uniqueness, but it still gives the same continuity of service down the line.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's very important to and not even just for the like the dignity of the staff, but I think also even for the experience of the guests to um, allow for human nature, as long as it's like controlled in a positive way, of course. Like you need to know that you're being served by a human. You're not being served by some robot or something like that. This is someone who ideally you should trust cares about you,
Mhm.
cares about what you're ordering, and wants you to have a great time. And that assurance, if you know it, will only improve your experience.
Certainly, I fall into a line where this one may be a little controversial, but
Okay.
I view a guest experience as a collaboration between the staff and the patrons.
Sure.
I don't believe, I believe that they're guests,
Yeah.
patrons. I don't believe in saying customers because it truly gets away from the idea of it, where
Yeah.
many
Almost
people,
like dehumanizing.
it completely
Like,
dehumanizes it. It looks
yeah.
at it as purely a service, which in some ways it is, but on the other side of it, people complain about service all the time,
Yeah.
but they also think it's easy. And you'll hear things thrown around,
Unskilled labor,
unskilled
there's no
labor.
such thing as unskilled labor out there. I
Yeah,
just
well,
want
you'll
you to,
say all the
you
time,
always
right?
have to have some kind of skill to do anything.
Or how hard is your job?
Right.
You bring food from here to there, and yet people are constantly complaining about how rarely they get good service.
Yeah.
And a big part of that is a collaboration between a well-trained staff that really cares, and that only happens if you take care of your staff and you treat them well. That's how you make them care about their positions.
Yeah.
And then having a customer base or guest base that cares about the staff and that appreciates what you're doing. And that collaboration together, it's like being a guest in somebody's home.
Right.
I'm going to treat you with more reverence than I would, myself in a regular setting.
Yeah.
I'm going to go above and beyond. I'm going to make sure your needs are taken care of. And then you're going to keep in mind that you're in my home.
Yeah.
And so you're going to speak to me with respect, that this happens on, our terms, where we do get the right to make a menu. We do
Yeah.
get the right to have our own choices over what we allow and what we do not allow. Some things that people think are common, easily requests are not.
Yeah.
And an example of that is allergies.
Yeah.
Allergies are a polarizing topic in our current society.
Yeah.
A lot of people tell staff that they're allergic to something when they simply don't like it,
Right.
without realizing the massive backlash that it causes on the staff side of things.
Yeah.
Where if you have a well-trained staff and you say that they're allergic, they're letting the manager know, they're letting the chef know, they're letting the bartender know, and any possible point of cross-contamination is removed from the
Right.
process.
Right. Like,
People are,
we are going to make sure that you're like, I mean, there's liability to that if you have like an allergic reaction out here, like we need to be careful about that. We don't want to have to call an ambulance while you're
sure,
sitting at our tables. That's awful for our look and for your own experience, obviously.
sure.
Being there.
Where saying I do not care for something, absolutely. And if there's a mistake made and it's brought out, please, the restaurant should make it up for you.
Yeah.
But there is that line of respect of, open communication from both sides. And if you do that, that's how you can have a really good relationship, and that creates a wonderful guest experience.
Yeah, absolutely. I get that. To hop a little bit back into knowledge versus sentiment, whatever. So it is a little bit of an entertaining thought to me to think, if you had no budget, what do you think your bar would look like, your ideal bar?
That's actually really fun.
Yeah, it is very fun, I
I've
think.
I've actually given a lot of thought into building bars. Setting up a bar is one of the most difficult things for a bar manager or somebody in that situation. It's they're not intuitive, in the sense that what people want to see is very different than how bartenders naturally should be behaving.
Right.
The idea is to set up a pivot location where a bartender can do almost everything without moving more than 3 steps away from their position. So the idea is you can pivot back and forth, where from the guest side of things, they want to stand right in front of service bar because they
Right.
get to see everything.
Yeah.
Where the practicality of that is not so much.
Yeah, I mean, you start talking to the service bartender, I mean, like, shit.
Sure. But if
My experience, if you're the service bartender, you're just like, why are they talking to me? Let me do my thing.
Sure. But if money was no object, think old wood, think metal, think giant ice blocks on an ice cooler right there. Think of a chilled metal rim that goes around the bar so you can put on cocktails so they don't just very
incredible.
Yeah.
Good stuff. Good stuff, good place, absolutely. Sorry, we had a little bit of a break. We're back. Got a new drink here. All right. Let's see. So, do you have a prediction for what the next big shift is in the bar hospitality industry, whether it be a shift in cocktails or a way that service is delivered?
I absolutely, and I think that I actually I'm going to answer it in two different
Yeah.
statements. So one of those is just the prevalence of non-alcoholic options. So mocktails are blowing up across the industry, and what we're seeing is people that are still wanting to go out, they're still wanting to have the full experience of going out, but drinking is becoming less common.
Yeah.
So especially in the younger generation, nearly a quarter of young Americans are not drinking
Wow.
at all. But they still want to go out, and then you also have the seasonal ones such as dry January. So high quality mocktails that are being made as well as cocktails are almost an expectation at this
Mm.
point at higher end bars. So
Mhm.
that's been a big pivot in the industry where you have a kind of the older holdouts that really don't want to. They think it's like a fad,
Mhm.
and I don't think it is. I think for
Yeah.
health reasons, I think societally drinking got less acceptable, and you have like a generational delay that happens. So I think that non-alcoholic options are again that major shift where if you want to stay in a profitable program, you have to be committing to it.
Yeah. If I may just like comment before you move on to your second thing,
Please.
or have an additional question, I guess, a follow-up question. To that, do you think that the non-alcoholic spirits are a um, expected or necessary inclusion to those higher quality cocktails, or do you think that it's unnecessary to create a good mocktail?
I think it's unnecessary, but a valuable tool.
Yeah,
So I think that, uh, like anything else can be done. I think tea is one of the most underrated ingredients for cocktails. I think for mocktails, almost nothing gives you the same like astringency, the tannins, and the
yeah,
flavor as tea. Where where the non-alcoholic spirits come in is it's a wonderful way of being able to take more classic style cocktails and being able to give riffs on them. So I
yeah,
think that expectation of if you have a non-alcoholic mezcal variant and being able to do a mezcal style cocktail with it, I think that's fantastic. But again, would I rather you know make like a tea from scratch? Do I think it yields a higher end product? Yes.
right, right. Sure, I got that. Yeah. So then you can go ahead to your second angle of
What was the original question again?
yeah. So the original question was, do you see a big shift, do you have a prediction for the for a big change in the industry?
Yes.
Rather, whether it's in actual cocktails or the service of those cocktails.
Sure.
Yeah.
And the other component is batched cocktails.
Yeah.
So we're going into a line where quality and the ingredients being used are more important than ever.
Yeah.
People have, spent so much of their time looking into like ingredients, looking into microplastics and all of these aspects of what they're imbibing, and the expectations on quality is so high, but they also want it delivered extremely quickly. And when you're looking at, I want Instagram quality cocktails, I want craft quality cocktails, but when I'm ordering them at the table, I still want them in 4 to 5 minutes.
Right.
And how do you do that? And the answer is batching cocktails. So whether it's batch Negronis and old fashions, and or I've run cocktail on tap programs, and I really think that that is something that the industry is moving towards. You're seeing it at higher tier bars, but anytime you have a paradigm shift, you also need your guest base to get used to it. So, if you're in the more cocktail culture focused, patrons see that and they're amazed by it.
Yeah.
And that the same thing happens at lower places, but most patrons also view it as, oh, they're cheaping out.
Mm.
They're batching it, so it's reducing our quality, not realizing that it's actually one of the best ways of creating a stable, consistent product
Right.
where you have one person that cares so much and they're making it in batches,
Yeah.
and it's not being done just for, oh, to make it cheaper, because it doesn't. It's being
Right.
done because we're able to do it faster at the highest quality.
Right. Yeah, I've definitely seen that. That is an interesting thing that I've talked to a couple of people um about uh I had made suggestions. I had said, I can teach a little bit of a cocktail class to your staff for like mobile bartending or anything
Mm-hmm.
like that. A couple of friends I went to high school with have done, for example. Um, and I had mentioned, have you ever considered batching? You better consider like batching an old fashioned out or something like that. And they're just like, well, we like to keep quality. And I was just like, well, I am like not to be disrespectful in any kind of way because I don't want to be disrespectful to anyone in the industry, but compared to the quality that you're actually serving right now, you can improve the quality and keep it on batch, serve it faster, and I can show you how to do that. And that's quite the purpose of what I think I could teach you in a cocktail class. I could show you how to improve the quality of your old fashions as you're serving them right now, which is like, maybe the quality of like a what were we saying earlier? Maybe like an Olive Garden or something like that.
Sure.
A quality of something like that. But like I can show you how to reach almost craft levels of quality, and I think there's a lot of value in that. I think the batching is actually an improving of quality in a lot of cases.
That's what I was about to say. There's some things that can actually only be done in the batching setting. So, an example of that is I did a freezer or martini. It
Yeah.
was done super well. It was it was
I think a martini is a fantastic example of that because I think we were talking a little bit briefly earlier about the texture that comes along with certain levels of like a dilution scale and a lack of aeration. Like if you're very careful about how you stir and you don't allow any aeration to happen, you have like a very different texture that you expect out of the final product of the martini. Maybe not very different, but like there's a variance in it.
Oh, I would say I actually do think it's very different. I think consistency is also an example of that is for my freezer roll martini that I served at my last position. There was specifically 1.5 drops of saline per cocktail.
Right. Yeah.
So that's something that is very difficult to do in a restaurant setting of you have a bartender doing it. The ratios were perfect
Yeah.
every single time. And more
Yeah.
than that, the cocktail is able to be designed and executed, but then chilled past the point that ice is going to do it in a setting. So you're actually able to bring it right down to the point where it's on the line between freezing,
Yeah.
which is going to change on the dilution scale and the proof of your product. But I actually do not believe I could replicate that freezer or martini, making it fresh right on site.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. And it's something to say to everybody. I mean, like, consider batches. Batches are not a downgrade. They're sometimes an upgrade, and they keep pretty good quality.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And especially for aspiring home bartenders, there is nothing that kills your desire to make nice cocktails more than getting home from work, being tired, and having to make everything from scratch.
Absolutely. I know a ton about that. I get out of work often at like 9:30 p.m. and when I get home, I'm just pouring a gin and tonic or I'm making a martini. And like while there can be slight variance on that and I can decide the different scales of dilution, ratios and everything like that, I'm not caring that much at that point.
Yep. I normally have.
I can do a lot better when I'm thinking about putting it into a batch and then testing it when I get out at 9:30. I can be like, well, how has this come out? How would I like to change it?
I often have an old fashioned on tap in my house.
Yeah, yeah. That's what you're drinking right now, I believe, right? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. Um, okay. So, interesting question. Do you think that there's anything that we're doing today as bartenders that the bartenders of the future are going to laugh at us for doing? I mean, like, whether it be like, I mean, the idea of like muddling the cherries and the orange in the old fashioned as a little bit of an older idea, although still prevalent in like Wisconsin. Like for example, nowadays a lot of people might be like, yeah, that's not how we do old fashions, for example.
I do think that there's plenty of things that that's the case. I think that the really classic ones, so the study of craft bartending goes into classic cocktails.
Yeah.
I don't think that you're ever going to see muddling and hand carving ice. I don't think that's ever going to go out of favor to the point that people are laughing at it.
Yeah.
I think that the preponderance of flavored product, all the weird things that are happening. You see Mountain Dew flavored vodkas. I think that's something that will not weather the test of time well. I think the prevalence of celebrity spirits.
Yeah.
I think that that's going to be something that people mock in the future. Of you mean they paid twice as much for half the quality?
Yeah.
Just because a celebrity put their name on it. I think
I struggle so hard to not just say a name of the very specific one off the top of my head.
At the end of the day, though, if you enjoy it, absolutely go for it. If you're enjoying it and then you want to look further into that spirit and have other other expressions of that product, that's when I love to talk to you and say,
Yeah.
oh, I don't hate additives in tequila. Just to me, it doesn't taste like tequila.
Right.
So, my previous owner of the business that I used to work for, his favorite tequila was Clase Azul.
Reposado Clase Azul. I believe you had said over rocks with a dried blood orange over the
He
top.
liked dried blood orange, indeed. And, we had a conversation about it once, and I broke his heart a little bit when I told him that was an additive tequila. And
yeah,
at the end of the day, is it a bad product? No, it's not. It tastes good. It tastes much closer to a cocktail than it tastes like a tequila. And to me, it certainly does not justify the price point.
No, yeah. I mean, like, even in New Hampshire, which we have very good liquor prices, I mean, it's over $200.
Indeed. I would rather have one bottle of, if you're looking at like El Tercero or Tequila Ocho, at a quarter of the cost.
Ocho, I mean, like, incredible. I mean, $64, I think, right now in the liquor store. I might be overquoting that, but
yeah, I mean, there's different SKUs, but they're both from the Camarena family. But they're really amazing tequilas.
They're the Camarena family? I didn't know that.
They are
incredible. They're very good.
The same nom.
Very minerally, but like, I can appreciate it. It's maybe not my style for like sipping neat, but like in a cocktail, I actually kind of like that mineral kind of input. To wrap this up here, I want to know, so if you have one final shift to bartend in the world, anywhere in the world, where are you choosing to have this shift and who is on your bartending team?
Sure.
If you could choose anybody in the world. You can force Snoop Dogg to be a bartender for you and he'll perform at quality. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
sure. It's not actually what you're going to think.
Okay.
So, of all the amazing bars, of all the amazing bartenders I've worked with over the past, it would be on a beach.
Okay.
And it would be full tiki.
Yeah.
Beautiful garnishes, full out, and it would just be with the best vibe people that I've ever worked with.
Yeah.
So I'm going to shout out to a couple people.
Like, shout them out.
Michael McKeon.
Michael, I love Michael.
Incredibly talented. So much fun to work with.
Yeah.
James Murphy, worst palate I've ever worked with, but such a beast on the service bar.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, it's people that I just generally just enjoyed working with so much.
Yeah.
And so if you have to do your swan song, right? So how am I going to do it? It'd be, looking at the sunset, you have the beach coming out, you have people walking up, you're enjoying it, and you're with people that you really love, and it's making you like really happy.
Yeah. Do you have any particular beach off the top of your head in mind when you imagine this?
I'm gonna say smallest bikinis, but no. I guess there is no particular place. I mean, just just a beautiful beach. And more than anything else, it's again just the people that you're with, doing something that you really love to do, and then having just people coming up and being delighted as they're walking away with these beautiful cocktails, and you see them walking around and enjoying cocktails, right? Which is they're sitting down, they're watching their kids or with their family. I just can't think of a better way to swan song.
hmm And there's no better way for me to uh angry girlfriend this conversation with. I'm not part of this team. You didn't mention me. He didn't mention me. I'm not part of the team. Yeah,
We've never
I just
actually bartended
we
together.
actually, yeah, surprisingly we haven't. That
And
might be
shout out
coming
Jordan
soon.
Blanchard.
Jordan Blanchard,
Jordan Blanchard. You didn't
another
work with him.
person.
He's one of the very young and incredibly talented young bartenders that I was fortunate to work with,
hmm
and I think in a short amount of time he progressed the most of anybody I've ever worked with. So
Incredible. Yeah.
it'd be fun to work with.
Very good. Very good. Nice. Yeah. So, yeah, with that, this was the very first episode of In Good Spirits, our interview series. Next up, we're going to have an episode with, I believe, Tucker from Feathered Friend Brewery. I think we have that scheduled up. Be a fantastic time. We're both friends with them, with him. Um, yeah, so if you guys enjoyed this, make sure you follow the Black Feather Bar on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Twitch, and TikTok. And I hope you guys have a fantastic day. Peace out.
Sláinte.